The airport was buzzing with tired travelers and the hum of rolling luggage, until the trained customs dog lunged toward a passenger's sleek black duffel bag and wouldn't stop barking. No commands could calm him. When the officers finally unzipped the bag, everyone within sight went pale. The atmosphere in the international terminal was uneventful, filled with the routine rhythm of travelers shuffling past security checkpoints. Officer Dwyer had done this job for 12 years, and Rex, his K-9 partner, had been beside him for 6 of them. Calm, disciplined, predictable, until today. It happened just before noon. A tall, clean-shaven man in a navy blue blazer and pressed slacks approached the checkpoint. He was holding a black duffel bag and dragging a carry-on. Nothing unusual, but Rex stopped. His ears shot up, tail stiff. Dwyer felt it before he saw it. That low, unmistakable growl rumbling from Rex's throat. The man smiled politely as he stepped forward. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked, his voice smooth and calm. But Rex lunged, barking, scratching, straining against his harness toward the duffel bag like his life depended on it. Dwyer was stunned. Rex wasn't trained for aggression unless triggered by something specific: drugs, explosives, or certain biological materials. But this reaction? It was something else. Something primal. Passengers nearby paused, turning toward the disturbance. The man laughed nervously and held up his hands. "It's just clothes and a souvenir. Maybe a bit of jerky. I flew in from Hungary this morning," he offered, backing away slowly. But Rex wouldn't stop. He snapped at the bag, trying to bite through the canvas. Dwyer had to pull with both hands to restrain him. Protocol kicked in. 2 additional officers approached, asking the man to step aside for a secondary inspection. He complied without hesitation, but his eyes never left the duffel. That was the first sign that something wasn't right. He wasn't afraid of being caught. He was afraid of what they would find. The bag was placed on a metal table inside the inspection room. Rex circled it like a predator, nose twitching, body tense. Officer Dwyer gave Rex the release command. Down. But Rex stayed locked in place, staring at the bag as if daring it to move again. One of the officers turned to Dwyer. "What do you think's in it?" Dwyer shook his head. "I don't know, but Rex has never reacted like this. Ever." Then the bag twitched. Not the kind of shift you'd expect from something settling. No, it was a pulse, a breath. Something inside was alive. The officer stared at the bag, now still, as if whatever had moved inside knew it had been noticed. Officer Dwyer reached for his gloves, while one of his colleagues radioed for backup and a medical officer, just in case. Nobody said what they were thinking, but the tension in the room was suffocating. This wasn't drugs. This wasn't contraband. Something was alive in there. The man who carried the bag sat quietly on the bench, hands resting on his knees. He showed no fear, no panic, only an eerie patience, like he'd been waiting for this moment. As Dwyer slowly unzipped the duffel, the stench hit them first, a thick, metallic rot that clung to the back of their throats. Inside, tightly packed, were several plastic containers, all sealed and wrapped in medical tape. Some were still, others weren't. One of the bundles began to squirm. Dwyer stepped back, muttering a curse under his breath. The medical officer arrived just in time to see one of the smaller containers twitch violently, as if something inside was trying to escape. It thudded once against the lid, then stopped. They opened that one first. Beneath the layers of blood-stained gauze was something that made every officer in the room recoil. It had the shape of an infant's body, but nothing else about it was human. The skin was slick, grayish, almost translucent. It had no mouth, no nose, and the eyes, pitch black and lidless, blinked slowly as if adjusting to the light. The medical officer gasped. It's conscious." Then another bundle stirred. This one was smaller, and when opened, revealed what looked like a partially developed face. Eyes sealed shut, mouth stitched shut with black thread. The stitching wasn't surgical. It was crude, deliberate. Suddenly, the duffel jerked on its own. The officers stepped back, some pulling their sidearms. The man on the bench laughed softly. "She doesn't like the light," he said. The youngest officer turned to him. "What are they?" The man looked up. "They're not what? They're who?" And with that, The last bundle rolled over on its own and whispered something no one understood. Not a cry, not a word, but a call to man was placed in handcuffs, yet showed no resistance. He didn't fight, didn't ask for a lawyer. He simply watched the containers as they were carried away with almost paternal sadness. As officers led him out of the inspection room, he turned once and whispered something under his breath, a language none of them recognized, but one that made Rex, the K-9, whimper and retreat. The airport terminal was quickly locked down. Biohazard teams were called in and a full investigation launched. The bag was examined for traces of known pathogens, black market biological agents, and trafficking evidence. But what baffled authorities wasn't what they found. It was what they didn't. The beings inside weren't listed under any known medical or scientific classification. They had human DNA, partially, but it was blended with sequences scientists couldn't identify. Their blood wasn't red. It was almost black. Their cellular structure was unstable, degrading within hours unless kept in sealed, humid conditions. The man, who had no criminal record and a legitimate passport, refused to give his real name. He wouldn't speak in any language understood by translators. He simply sat in his cell, occasionally humming the same four-note tune, one that, according to a linguist brought in by Homeland Security, resembled an ancient lullaby from a region in Romania where the last known child disappearances had been reported weeks earlier. Interpol got involved. Files surfaced of other similar duffel bags found in lesser airports in Europe and part of Asia, but the contents had always vanished before officials could investigate. This was the first time anything had been recovered. The beings, if they could be called that, were taken to a black site research facility. Only 2 survived the transport. One died after exposure to sunlight. The other, it stopped blinking, but never stopped staring. Rex, the customs dog, was taken off duty. He refused to eat, refused to obey commands, and growled any time another black bag came near him. Eventually, he was retired and adopted by Officer Dwyer. But even months later, Dwyer would find Rex some nights, sitting at the front door, ears raised, waiting. And sometimes, just before dawn, Rex would growl at the hallway, as if he could still hear the calls. Sometimes, instinct sees what reason cannot. We place our trust in science, systems, and logic, but there are truths that slip through the cracks of human understanding. When we ignore the unexplainable, or worse, try to contain it, we risk unleashing forces far older and darker than we realize. In the end, it wasn't technology or protocol that uncovered the horror. It was a dog's instinct. And sometimes that's all that stands between us and what waits in the dark.